When I saw a really cheap set of suncatcher paint in the Walmart craft aisle, I thought that'd be a lot of fun to play with, so I'm going to show you how to do a DIY Disney stained glass project. I'm pretty much always looking for a way to add more Disney in my life when I can't actually be in the parks, and this seemed like a perfect excuse to add a little more Disney to my home. Since I've already had one of these sort of floating frames before, I knew it would be perfect as soon as I saw the suncatcher paint. The narrow black frame around the outside really reminds me of the leading, and I thought it would really make all the colors pop. And unlike most picture frames, you won't have some sort of matting or actual framework behind that will show through the glass and look not so great. So I really recommend this type of frame, but just about any frame that you want, you could just go ahead and take out the part in the back that goes behind the picture normally, but I feel like this frame is almost perfect. They come in a bunch of different sizes and they're really affordable. I've never worked with this suncatcher paint before, so I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to work out, so I've tested out a bunch of things now so you don't have to. For instance, I just used the tiny little cheap brush that came with the paints. It worked just fine. It wasn't nearly as poor quality as I had feared. I normally would like to have a longer brush for a little more flexibility and stability, but it was fine, and I'm glad I didn't gunk up one of my good brushes with this because it did get a little funky by the end. This product was also kind of weirdly inconsistent, so I ended up trying a few different application methods, so again, you won't have to. For instance, some of the colors, even though I tried to put a nice thin even coat out, when they dried they would sort of pull back and congeal, so I tried a couple times to put down large globs of paint to fill in the whole area with those thick bits, thinking maybe that would work better than a bunch of thin coats. It didn't really seem to work out that way, but those colors still wouldn't spread out evenly, so I didn't get a nice even application everywhere, but real stained glass isn't always super even anyway, so it's more authentic. So like I said before, this is the complete picture frame. The clear glass is going to go unobstructed all the way from edge to edge up to the actual black narrow frame with no matting or support or anything obstructing the final product. Since I also chose a size that is slightly larger than my standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, I'm going to have to keep that in mind, but my end composition is going to have a lot of sky action happening, so I'm sort of going to freehand that. When I first had the idea for this project, I was honestly thinking about the sort of cliche Beauty and the Beast stained glass, and I still think that would be beautiful, but I wanted something a little more generally Disney, so I decided on Cinderella's castle. I pulled up a few of my own photos for references and just sort of started sketching it out by hand. But if you aren't much of an artist yourself, or you just don't have that kind of faith in yourself, easily you could do a Google image search and search any sort of Disney clip art that you want. Just sort of browse around, find something that you like, and give it a nice quick print, and you're ready to go. Now, of course, real stained glass isn't going to have a lot of curved edges because glass obviously usually breaks with a pretty straight edge. But since this is an artistic piece, you have a little bit more creative license. But since I'm trying to keep this fairly authentic looking, I'm trying to limit how many curved edges I put in my piece. Now I'm going to remove the black pieces of frame and separate the plastic backing from the actual glass piece of the frame. For now we only need the glass, so set the plastic backing and the black frame pieces aside. Now since my glass is so much bigger than my piece of paper, I plan on filling some of that empty space up in the sky area with fireworks. I had originally kind of planned to do sort of a bright, sunny, summery sky, but I thought that the whites and blues of clouds and sky would not contrast very nicely with the whites and blues of the castle, and since I'm pretty limited on colors of paint, I thought it'd be actually a lot more fun to go with a night sky and big, fun, Mickey-shaped fireworks. I'm going to place my sketch on the back side of the glass, scoot it all the way down to the bottom so I'll have plenty of room at the top here for the fireworks, and then tape it in place. The suncatcher paint set did come with a black, but I honestly didn't have a lot of faith in it, and I knew that I was going to be doing a fairly large project, so I didn't know if I'd have enough of that anyway. So instead I decided to use a little bottle of black shirt paint. I liked the idea of it being a little more dimensional so that it would feel more like actual leaded glass, and it's still really cheap and easy to find. I'm not going to be able to bounce around my composition because I will just smear shirt paint everywhere, so I'm going to have to work in a very sort of outwards linear sort of way, which means as a right-handed artist, I really need to work from left to right or I'm just going to smear everything and make a mess. Once I've mostly finished up freehanding the fireworks, it gets a little bit quicker and easier because I'm literally just tracing over my sketch from earlier. Once the castle and fireworks are finished, I am just going to sort of break up the large plain areas of the night sky by adding in some somewhat randomly placed angular shapes that are just pleasing to the eye. But to keep them feeling somewhat like real stained glass, I'm going to actually try to make the edges end at a point, like say usually on a spire. I tried to keep my leading from going either all the way to the edge or at least keep it pretty thin if I did let it go all the way to the glass, so that I'll be able to get the black frame pieces back on pretty easily when I'm finished. Now I just let the leading portion dry according to the instructions on the packaging, so that I can flip it over and paint my colored portions on the backside. Somehow I ended up with zero actual footage of painting the colored portions, but there was so much trial and error involved with that, I'm honestly not sure that would have made any sense anyway. It basically just ended up being a matter of trying to do as many thin, even, light coats as you can, and layering colors if you needed to get a little bit more opacity. In the finished product, I think you can see what I meant by very inconsistent product between the different colors. The blacker sections are definitely streakier than, say, the brighter blue of the night sky, but like I said, I feel like that seems a little bit more true to stained glass, and I'm really happy with the finished product. After it was all dry, I just put the frame back on and I taped some fairy lights to the back. I thought that really added a nice little touch, especially since they were star-shaped. So this product was a little finicky to work with, but I did only spend a couple dollars on it. Maybe if you got a nicer set somewhere, it might be a little easier to work with, but this was so readily available and just something I wanted to try and play around with, so it worked out fine for me. I wouldn't recommend this project for a small child or even an adult who's super easily annoyed, but if you're an older kid or a teenager or an adult who doesn't really consider yourself super artistic but really wants to play your hand at some Disney crafting, this is perfect for you. It's a little time consuming because of all the thin coats and letting things dry, but it's really easy and you end up with a really fun piece in the end. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I hope you'll like and subscribe down below. Have a beautiful day and I'll see you next time.